live.
Hey, yo. This is so different for me, y'all. Listen, because look, I don't have nothing in front of me saying I'm live or nothing like that. So it was a little different. I usually can see the countdown, but hey, how y'all doing?
Well, hey, how y'all doing?
Look at who I got with me today. Hey, gorgeous.
I'm so glad to be here with you today.
Listen,
I told you I was coming back.
Yes, you did. And I'm so glad to have you back.
Glad to be back.
Yes. So, how's it been going?
It's been going real good. It's busy, but it's been going good.
Yeah. Busy.
Mm-hmm. But it's not good busy.
Let me tell you what. Let me tell you for my phone down, y'all, because y'all know I got to give y'all a look.
What?
So I watched the debate yesterday, right? Let me tell you what my favorite part was.
Okay.
When you said, if you're looking for me, you can find me out in these streets. I said, yes, my girl, clap.
Well, I am.
Listen, out of everything that was said, but it's so funny is because I said that, I was like, out of all the things that you said, that was my favorite thing you did. She was like, if you want to see me, you can find me out in these streets. I said, yes,
I've been in the same house for almost 30 years.
Listen,
now.
I was all about the black girl
time, right?
Yes.
I mean, I'm not hard to find.
Yeah, where else can you find?
Listen, so
fine.
I just thought
I done seen you rolling around.
I wanted to clear that up.
Yeah, I done seen you rolling around. Yeah, I done seen you.
Well, was it true?
Yes, absolutely. And so how's the response been?
It's been very good.
Yeah.
You know what? People have been excited. There's been an excitement,
yes.
and it gets me excited.
Yeah.
So here we go.
I'm excited for you.
I'm ready for Tuesday.
I'm ready for Tuesday too. I'm ready. So
what?
So I just want to touch on like a couple of things that happened so I didn't get to watch everything about the debate. However, there were a few things that I wanted to touch on, and it was just in relation to how the other two candidates answered.
Mm-hmm.
So one was that stuck out for me. So I'm big on, because I'm in the corporate world.
Okay.
And I do dabble a little in HR, right? And so, those key words or those sunshine words, those words. And so I pick up on them really quickly. So when people are talking, and they use those sunshine words and those key words, I call them sunshine words. Okay. And those are those ones that are light and smiley, but it's really, just trying to get you to draw into the wrong part of the conversation.
Right.
I heard a lot of that yesterday, and I was kind of chuckling a little bit. And so the one thing that I do want to ask you about in relation to him saying, and you know the him I'm talking about when I tell you this.
I do know the him.
As he said, well, I want to make some things clear. It's been a lot of false information.
I agree. Sure has, and you've been getting it.
And so I thought about that, and I was just like, well, dang. You want to talk about false information? We're going to talk about the false information that you put out?
And I also liked when he said, look at our records. I said, yes, please do. Please do.
I also enjoyed
what?
That, and some people won't agree with me when I say that, but I also enjoy when Councilman Mays decided that he was going to say, well, look, it is some false information out there, but there was a lot of good things that came out of the Weaver camp back then, as it probably will now. And what I'm going to do, I thought you and Eric Mays had the strongest.
Okay.
You were the strongest. Both of you were strongest. So if you could say 1A and 1B, you were 1A and 1B, right?
Okay. Yes.
But I think you probably have the edge because people are excited to see you and to finish the work with you.
And that's what it is. Because there is work that needs to be completed. I keep talking about unfinished business.
Right.
And there is. That's what it is. And that's what I was talking about.
Right.
And I was kind of going down the list of what some of that was.
Yeah. So I was kind of taken aback at some of the numbers that were put out there as far as like the pipes, W.T. Stevens and how much money W.T. Stevens did not receive.
Right.
And I think
close to $1 million. I mean, like $800-something thousand. It's close to $1 million that they have not been paid.
Yeah. And how shameful is that?
Very.
And that they didn't get to finish the work that they started.
Didn't get to finish the work that they started. And they were part of, I mean, really, people will be reading about this
Mhm.
years to come.
Absolutely.
And for their names to be tarnished like that.
Mhm.
And that was why when they said, what's one thing you would do differently? I said, I'm not going to let people lie on me
Yeah.
and not clear that up.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened with them.
Yeah.
But there are, and just yesterday, I don't know if you saw the article or not about our lead levels going back up.
I did see that.
Now, who's surprised by that?
Well, it's kind of a double-edged sword for me, because no, I'm not surprised, because the work didn't get finished.
Exactly.
But then again, I am surprised because, damn it, why wasn't it?
Right. Well, that's a good question.
And it's just
because
that
it should
simple.
have been right.
Right?
Why wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that was one of the things I always complained about, Satara. I'm going to tell you. I would say you need to address the in-home plumbing and fixtures.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, it doesn't matter if you change the pipes out front. It doesn't matter if you're getting clean water. You still don't have access to clean water. So we still have that number of families that don't have that access.
Absolutely.
And that's really criminal to me.
It's not taking a shower and putting on clean clothes.
Exactly.
Right?
That's
or
what
ironing dirty clothes.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Either one of those is.
And
and
we're 8.5 years in.
Yeah.
Almost 9 years. That's a long time to not have a human right.
Right. A basic human right.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
That no matter the color, the creed, your religion, or anything, it is a basic human breathing, quality air, and drinking clean water. Should be it's a staple. Like what that should be it's a no-brainer, right?
It should be. So yeah, that was I didn't want to hear that news, but I'm not surprised by it at all. But I am saddened that it hasn't been completed, because it should have been.
Absolutely. So with that being said, how much of this bothers you that you have to come back in yet again and do a lot of cleaning up? Because you're going to become the official broom if this happens, right?
Just start playing the cleanup woman.
I'm saying. So how disheartening is that to say that, I would like to come in the city and handle more new business than old business, but it's pretty much the opposite, isn't it?
There's a lot of old business that did not get completed.
Yeah.
So, but I do look forward to completing it. But there's going to be some new business too.
Oh, I'm sure.
There's going to be some new things too.
And
that is exciting.
It is exciting.
Because what's different about this time is having more knowledge. Having been in that situation before.
Right.
And so that part is good.
Yeah.
That part is good. Knowing, okay, you can't do this, we have to do that. Having some established relationships already.
Yes.
That's helpful. And that's helpful not only for the old business that needs to be taken care of, but for some new and exciting things that Flint deserves to have happen. So,
this new council, it's a new council.
It is a new council.
Yes. Do you believe that you'll be able to work with this new council?
You know what? I'm sure going to try. Because I can't go in there any other way. Right. I can't go in there any other way, because if I'm not at least willing to try, then I don't need to go. Correct. You don't need to be there if you're not going to try. Absolutely. You're not always successful when you try, but I'm certainly going to go in and try. And I'm going to say, just like I said before, I can't believe that they don't want these same things. Who doesn't want a safe city? Who doesn't want a clean city? Absolutely. Who doesn't want clean water and their residents to have it? Who doesn't want access to economic opportunities for the people that live in the city? Yeah. I mean, those should be things we can agree to work on together. And that's what I keep saying. We don't have to like each other, but we should have respect for each other and say, how do we achieve these goals? Right.
And the goal should be what's in mind, right? And so I've been saying since I've started this that no matter where you live at on this side of the tracks, that side of the tracks, north, east, south, wherever, that we all should have the same goal in mind.
Right.
And when you have taken a political seat, whether it be city council in the local, whether it be state senate in the state, or even state rep, and even the mayor, that the goal should be the same. It should all be in alignment, and everybody should be able to work together.
And we should be working together. We should be, because you need that kind of support. Of course, you need the support from the council and the council from the mayor, but you need that support in Lansing that you're talking about.
Absolutely.
You need that state representative to be there and speaking up about Flint. You need that state senator to be
Mhm.
doing that. And that's why I tell people, you need to examine, who you're voting for, who you are giving your voice to.
So, and that's one of the reasons, another reason why I actually enjoy doing this, because it gives people an educated vote,
Yeah.
right? So we get to get a vibe for people,
Mhm.
because that's important.
It's
right.
It's really
It's
important.
so important
It's
just
so
to get
important.
a vibe from somebody, not just to hear their words, but to get that vibe from them, because your body don't lie to you.
No,
We don't listen.
It'll tell you something,
But we don't listen, right?
But it'll tell you.
It will.
It will tell you.
And when you get that feeling like, I shouldn't be
know.
fooling with them,
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly what you go with, right?
That's what you go with.
And so I like that, and I like getting the vibe and then seeing if the vibe matches your.
But you know what else I like? What you said as far as educating people
Mhm.
and giving them accurate information,
Mhm.
because there's a whole lot of platforms out there that don't do that.
Absolutely.
And one of the things I always talk about, that was why I enjoyed being on the radio.
Yeah.
Was it's like, I get to give some accurate, good information.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we're just fed misinformation,
Right.
lies, whatever you want to call
Right.
it, slanted truths,
Right.
From media.
Yeah.
From media, and it's not good.
I think it's important to have things like this, and I know a lot of people don't like to do them, like podcasts and things like this, but in all actuality, it's a voice for the people, right? Because in 9 times out of 10, this is where they're watching,
right?
Because they don't want the biased opinions.
Well, you don't know if you can believe what you see, because
absolutely,
and I can say that firsthand,
absolutely,
because they will say all kinds of things, or put a headline up that really, if you don't read all the way to the end of the story, you've been misled.
Yeah, and it's still a lot of propaganda going on.
Exactly,
it's a lot.
It's a whole lot,
And
a whole lot.
And as in this campaign, I'm telling you, this campaign was so it was good, but it was weird.
Okay, how?
And I'm gonna say it was weird because in some of the races you couldn't tell what they were actually running for because of some of the things that they were talking about, right? Okay. And so you're like, are you running for a city seat? State seat? Mm-hmm. It was really weird because the agenda was all off. Right. And so I still want you all to have an educated vote. An educated vote.
You need to.
Yeah.
You need to.
I need you
because
to
you're
have
putting people in place. Sometimes it's a 2-year period. Sometimes it's a 4-year period. Sometimes it could be a 6-year period. Yeah. And so when you're giving people that kind of power, you need to be educated about who's supposed to have your voice and who's supposed to have your back. Absolutely.
Mickey, would you let me know if we have any questions as it relates to that? Because I feel like, I'm going to be honest, I feel like some of the questions are redundant, right? So this open talk is just like a little bit better, right?
That's what I like, because when you have 2 minutes, you can't really talk about. I mean, you can say, yeah, here are my priorities. These are the things I want to make sure you know. But when you have this kind of conversation, you can have a real conversation.
Absolutely.
And I do like that.
Yeah.
And it gives you time to explain things, clear up things. Just make sure you're giving people.
Absolutely. And I think that we've asked this, like I've heard you say this a million times, like your agenda, where you're at with the water, what you want to do going forward. We kind of heard that, but it's nice to hear you expound on it a little bit more because you only get that little window of time, right? Right.
And then you're like, okay, I've got 2 minutes. You're not gonna. I mean, every now and then you can get everything in 2 minutes.
But you're trying to hit the hot spot,
right? And then you're like, oh man, I forgot to talk about this.
Yes. So was there anything at the forum that you wanted to say that you weren't able to get out?
One of the things I was thinking about when we were talking about public safety and we were talking about technology, and I think I may have touched on it, but one of the things I said, I wonder if I talked about the drones and how that would have been more helpful, I believe, than helicopters, more cost effective than helicopters, and safer than helicopters.
Yes.
I don't know if I touched on that or not. You're always wondering, did I talk about that? I don't
know.
So
is that something you're looking to bring?
Yeah, we should.
Absolutely,
I mean,
we should.
I don't know if I even said anything about community policing. Because that's one of the things we know has been proven. It's like you don't need to reinvent that wheel.
Absolutely,
that works, and that's what we should be trying to do.
It
is have community policing.
Yeah,
and so we didn't get to talk about that. And so I talked about lighting up the city because I think that's important. I think that's important. And tired of us being scared.
Yeah.
I'm just tired of us being scared. And I talked about it, but I think we need to talk about it more because I'm tired of hearing. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
I'm tired of hearing
Absolutely.
that crime is high everywhere. Yeah, we know crime is going up in places, but people are moving out of Flint, quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Yes.
And they're not going far.
Right.
They're going to Burton.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to Swartz Creek. They're going to Grand Blanc. They're going to Mount Morris. They're going to Davison.
Mm-hmm.
Flint Township. They're going to all of these places right around Flint. That's not that far.
It's not.
Some cases it's across the street.
Right.
I mean,
across
is it?
Listen, Carpenter Road separates me
Exactly
from you.
Right.
And that's it.
Right.
And I live less than a minute from Carpenter Road.
That's my point. So you can't tell me that is an excuse when you say, well, crime is up all over. So what can you do about it?
Absolutely.
You better put something in place.
Yes.
You better try.
Absolutely.
I'd like to see you try something and it not be successful than to say, oh, I'm going to just throw my hands up and not try anything at all. But I believe that there are things that can be done because, like I said, we were in the top 5 all the time.
Yes.
When I got there. And to come out of the top 5, 10, 15, 20, 25.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something.
That's a huge accomplishment.
Right.
As it relates to crime in this city.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
But you didn't hear much about that.
Mm-hmm.
If we didn't tell it and that message got covered, but that should have been something we were just, really excited about. I think people recognize it now.
Mm-hmm. Because we can tell the difference.
Good.
We definitely can tell the difference.
Well, I'm glad.
If we are being honest, right? Because that's the thing. We have to be honest. And if we're being honest, we can definitely tell the difference because even though I don't live in the city, I move around the city and I'm around the city. My family lives in the city. But if we're being honest, we can tell the difference. There are a whole lot of things that we were able to do then that we're not now. That we're afraid to do now.
Right. And we shouldn't live like this.
Absolutely
we should
not
have to live like this. And so that's why I'm saying, I don't know how long this took us to have this conversation, but I know it was more than 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't get to, do some of those kinds of deeper dives.
Absolutely.
In the forum debate kinds of settings.
Yeah.
So
when you talk about lighting up the city, when you say lighting up the city without even giving a description of it, the thing that I think about LED lighting. Is that what you mean?
That's some of it.
Okay.
And because you walk down these streets, it's dark.
Yeah. And some of the streets lights are even dark.
Exactly.
Yes.
And you're like, the lights are on? And it's dark.
Yes.
And it makes, that just feeds into fear, things happening. And I said, you wake up and you're like, where'd that, you wake up and that's what was just done. I said, so we need to do that. We need to take care of that. We're paying for it. And there are some things we could do about that.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of areas that need to be lit up.
Oh, absolutely. I wholeheartedly
agree. We got one question.
Well,
okay. Let me
what
see.
is it?
From Julia?
Yeah.
Okay. Julia, I'm going to have to cuss you out later. Before I even look at this, am I have to go cut up on you?
No, I think this one ain't about.
Just kidding. All right, question from Jalea. Will there be a sincere and meaningful gathering of the boots on the ground organizations that are in the communities to help improve the quality of life and reduce violence and crime?
Will there be a sincere gathering?
A sincere and meaningful gathering.
Well, if it's sincere, it should be meaningful. That's what I would think. But there has to be, because this is something that we can't do it by ourselves.
Absolutely.
We can't do it by ourselves, and we do need to come together. And that was one of the things I was talking about yesterday. When you're talking about partnership, partnership is fine. We should be partnering.
Yeah.
Because to me, when you talk about boots on the ground, that's kind of like, it's not police, but it's communities. We should be watching out for each other.
Absolutely,
we should be watching out for each other.
Yeah.
And we do have different groups that have been trained to identify and different things. And I think that might be what he's talking about. So why wouldn't we be all coming together to work together?
I agree.
So I think that's important. And I think if it's sincere, it's meaningful.
So I have a question. Because people hear me say this, and I ask this question to everybody.
What?
And so my question is, the north side of Flint. What are we gonna do with the north side of Flint?
That was the question in here.
Is it?
Chris Taylor.
Chris, great minds think alike. All right. So he said, will the streets get fixed on the north side of Flint? So even
there were some streets that were already scheduled to have been fixed on the north side of Flint.
Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
And we're still
Why?
just waiting, huh? Like
And-
everything else.
Right, but that was scheduled to happen when I was leaving. So there were
Yeah.
some streets that
Yeah.
and you know, in fact, it's kind of sad because Betty Whiteman and I had talked about this because you know she was over streets, and so we had some plans.
Yeah.
But those plans still could have moved forward
Yes.
with both of us involved. Those plans could have moved forward.
You plan on putting those back in place?
When I get yes, because I'm going back, and that's what I'm going to do. And the other thing is if we're talking about streets, that's what really makes me angry because this money has been sitting there since a year. I mean, over a year ago.
Yeah.
Last May.
Yeah.
May of 2021.
2021.
It was there for public safety. It's there for blight. It's there for streets.
Right.
I mean, those are just some of the things.
Right.
And why that hasn't been used. Now, there have been some neighborhoods that have gotten those speed bumps.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm talking about, we've already got bumps and holes. I'm talking about, and I'm not knocking bumps because I know that there's that drag race problem that a lot of streets are having, but fixing our streets.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that hasn't been done.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that. And that's why they're asking about the north side. We can talk about the north side because that was the importance of having economic development back. Because we want to focus on all of Flint. And that's what I was excited about. Right now, I don't see who has Flint's back. I see who has certain areas of Flint's back. And like I said, I've always said that every thriving city has a thriving downtown. But I'm going to go back to what Pastor Hill said. Because I remember talking about that. I said, yeah, but that's fine if the heart is working well. But if I have a broken foot, you know, I've got something wrong with my brain. This isn't working. At some point, you got to take care of the rest of my body.
Absolutely.
You've got to.
Absolutely.
And that's why I wanted economic development for the city of Flint. I wanted somebody focused on Flint and not just a certain part of Flint.
Okay.
You know, we need to get back to that.
Oh, yes.
We need to get back to supporting small business and entrepreneurship because there were times, and there are some places in Flint, not a lot of them, where that community still has businesses right in their community. You know, you don't have to go far. And you can stay in your community and do things. And that's what we need to go back to.
We do.
You know, that's important. That's important.
Even hearing those stories, like you can ask anybody out there, and you know, like my mom and my grandma, and you hearing them talk about, because they were over in the St. John's area. And so hearing them talk about all of those things and how you could just go right up the street, you go to the butcher, you can go across the street to the cleaners, and everybody knew everybody.
That's right.
Everybody works with everybody. And the community, so where I grew up, like I said, I grew up in Beecher, but where I grew up in the street that I lived on my grandparents lived on Alma.
Okay.
So they were a part of that when they put the highway through. They were like literally right in the middle of the highway where it is now. So my grandparents were a part of that. So that's where they moved to. But when they moved there, they've been there forever since that happened. So so I grew up there, and it was so much of everybody knew everybody on that street.
Right.
My neighbors' grandmas were my grandmas, and so we celebrated together. We got whoopings together.
Right.
You know, we got all kinds of things. Like it literally was like the closest family to not having family ever. But it was on every street.
Right.
I can go 7 streets over and I would have the same things that would happen to me there would happen here. And we need to get back to the village, right? We do. But we gotta have a village to get back to.
We gotta have
because we don't have a village.
Exactly.
We don't have anywhere to live to have the village.
Oh, we don't have anywhere to live.
We don't have anywhere to live.
That's something else that needs to happen when you talk about economic development.
Absolutely.
When you talk about housing, because you know that was one of the things I touched on yesterday. And apartments are nice. They're fine. Some people like
some people like them,
and that's fine because I remember when I liked them.
Yeah.
You know, and but some people want single family homes. We're not doing that. Yeah. And we're not doing it, it seems, in certain areas. Certain areas.
Yeah.
You know, they'll tear down, but they sure aren't going to do it. And I've seen that really on the north side. That's one of the areas. I've seen it on the east side. That's another area. And we need to do that. If we're talking about maintaining and sustaining a city, that's what we need to do.
So what can we do? Do you have a plan to work with the county in order to get some of those the zoning and the ordinances and those little things of where
That's
you
something.
can't build, like especially on as it relates to the north side. They're saying like if a house gets torn down, the area is too small to build back up on it. Do you have
And
a
you know-
plan to work with some of them?
Yeah, we better.
Yeah.
We have to, and some of that can change.
Yeah.
Some of that can change by votes.
Yeah,
You know, so that's something that can be put on the table.
Okay.
Is, you know, we can fix that. But if you ever take a look at what's in place in that master plan, but in the master plan, it's like these are green areas, and so they've been deemed certain ways where
Right.
you can't build.
Right.
And you kind of wonder, okay, what's going to happen with that?
Mm-hmm.
What's going to happen with that?
Mhm.
Because some of those areas would be really nice to put homes back in. Build
Absolutely.
up those neighborhoods. I mean, I was looking at where I grew up on East Root Street, and I'm looking, and I'm sitting there. Martin School isn't there anymore. I live
Yeah.
right across the street. You had no excuse to be late for school.
Right.
Across the street.
Right.
How you
Shout out to
how you-
Martin School. My mother went to Martin School.
how
You don't know how many
you gonna
stories
be-
I heard about that
How you
school.
gonna be late?
It's right there.
Right across the
It's right
street.
there.
But
Yeah.
the house that was directly across the street from me, you know, it's an empty lot now. There's another house that was down the street that's an empty lot. There's a house a little bit further that it should be torn down, but something could be put there.
Right.
And those are the kind of things we should be looking at. We shouldn't be looking at those as problems. We should be looking at those as promise and potential. I mean, because that's how I see it. It's like, ooh, there's a space we can put another house there, because this is a neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know, this is a neighborhood.
Absolutely.
And we have gotten away from that. Now, you know, sometimes you wonder, was that by design? I'm just saying.
I agree.
There's one question.
Okay.
Chris
Let me see.
Kaler, he said, who has the authority to change the green plan?
The master plan?
I'm guessing that's what he's saying.
Well, I'll tell you, I think it should be changed. And that was something I had been talking about, because this was done pre-water crisis. So to me, that should be something that's a living document that you should go in and say, wait a minute, this was put in place. We didn't have a water crisis. I had some issues with it even before a water crisis.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there was enough diversity to me at the table. And I'm talking about just different areas where people came from.
And that's what he was saying to Chris Kaler. That's what he's talking about, the master plan, when he put green plan.
Right.
And you got another one, Becky Brown.
Hey, Becky.
She said, what about home improvement loans with 0 to low interest rate for residents similar to a program in Detroit?
Right. And that's what we should, I mean, those are the kinds of things we should be doing. They're doing that to, you know, keep their tax base or to build it up even. And those are the kinds of things that we should be doing.
So I have so my brother lives in Detroit, and hey Simeon, if you're watching this. So my brother lives in Detroit, and so looking at their program for the land bank as opposed to ours is like, have you heard about, have you seen it or heard how their program goes? Okay, so in Detroit there's a bid, but everybody can get in this bid, right?
Okay.
And you get you pay for this list of houses, right? And it's $2,500.
Okay. That's it.
And you have 1 year to get it livable where you want to. However, let me just say this, that the houses aren't like the houses here where it's so tore up that you got to get everything in there and there's no code, no nothing like that. They're not that bad. Some of these houses are actually ready to go into, you know, because it had been foreclosed on. A friend, as a matter of fact, his girlfriend, their home that they had when her parents passed away, that they lost the home. One of the relatives lost the home just for back taxes, which was a little bit of nothing. And so he bought a beautiful, like 4-bedroom brick house, beautiful house. And for $2,500.
When you see programs like that are working, we should be visiting that.
And the only stipulation is you have this money. This money is in the bank, and that you live in the city of Detroit.
That's not. I mean, that's where you want to live anyway.
I said, well, shit, it's so simple. Caravan can do it. Well, hell, why are we doing that?
Man.
Yes. What the heck? But here you have to go through so much to get a house from land bank. It's not even worth it. And then sometimes you bid and you go in and you bid and you bid and you bidding so high, hell, you might as well put that down payment on the house.
You want to go down there and see how they're doing?
Listen, it makes me want to change my address.
Okay, I'm trying to get you back in Flint. Now you're talking about Detroit.
I'm just saying.
Come on.
I'm just telling you
about Detroit.
Listen, I'm just telling you.
See,
I'm trying.
We
to come
all are
back.
trying to come back to Flint.
And we want, and that's the thing, we want you to come back to Flint.
Yeah.
Uh,
We want to come
we
back to
want
Flint.
it, right.
We do. Okay. There's
What would have to happen for you to come back?
okay. For me
Yes.
to come back to Flint,
Yeah.
I have to have somewhere to live.
Okay. Right.
I definitely
House.
have to have somewhere to live. And it has to be, I want it to be somewhere nice. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to go. So I've been through the stage where I've been somewhere and I fixed it up. I want to be able to
Just
move
go
my
in.
stuff
You
in.
want it.
Or I want to
say
be able,
turnkey ready.
that's it. Or I
Okay.
want to be able to, my children are adults now. I want to be able to give them that home and leave everything in it and go fresh into this other one.
Mm-hmm.
In a nicer neighborhood because I have
Okay.
2 grandsons,
Okay.
4 and 5. I want them to be able to play, but I play a lot with them. So I want us to be able to go outside and
Right.
play.
And
You know,
not be
we ride
scared.
bikes. I want us to be able to go in the neighborhood. I need the water to be clean because they're 4 and
I
5.
understand.
So when I'm gonna get asked what it takes for me to
We're
come
gonna
back.
come to you. We're gonna
I'm
come to you.
asking the mayor. I want to see what she.
I
okay,
was
Vicky,
going
what
to
it
ask
take?
you. What does it take?
You know, I'm a little more.
Oh, y'all,
I'm a
he
little
crossed his
more
legs. Let me tell y'all, y'all don't know how this leg cross just went.
If it's a choice, I got to be somewhere between the Valley, Evergreen Valley.
He
and
loves the
South
South Side.
And you can put me on and I'll take the North Side somewhere. Don't put me in the third ward. The council person won't like me. So y'all can get me maybe in the first, in the sixth. I'm good.
Well, you know what? I wouldn't care what ward you put me in, but you know what? At some point, I may want to make a run for one of them seats and do something myself.
Mm-hmm.
But something has to happen in order. But it has to happen to get everybody there,
Right.
Because we need to build the census right back up.
Right. Yeah, we sure do.
We need
We
it.
need to.
But if we and I want it to be a neighborhood. I want it to be a family.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
I've always been that way. And even where I live is still that way.
And see, that's why I said, you want to.
It's hard to move.
but everybody doesn't want to live downtown.
I
People
definitely
want to
don't.
live in neighborhoods.
Absolutely.
They want that kind of lifestyle.
I do.
And that's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I'm simple. I don't need all that extra hustle and bustle.
Mm-hmm.
I just want it to be nice. Listen, it can even be busy. I like to sit on my porch and people watch. I do.
That's what I
do.
want.
That's all I want to do.
Well, ain't that how we all grew up? Though?
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
It is.
And we want it back.
And we want it back.
We
and
want
we
it
deserve
back.
to have it back.
We deserve to have it back. And so it's really that simple. It's not a whole lot that would take me to get back. It's really that simple, right?
And
It's
you
not-
wonder
it-
why are these things so
Why is it
difficult
so
to
hard?
achieve?
But you know what else? Any other city that you ever go to, it's cheaper to live in the city, but it's way more expensive to live in the city here. Because if I think about my bills, what my bills will be living in the city compared to where I'm at now, yikes.
Mm-hmm. And are you talking about that water bill?
I'm talking
That's
about
one
the
of
water bill. Yeah,
That's
definitely
one of them,
the
of
water
course.
bill is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I only pay a water bill every 3 months.
Right.
And what you are paying for 1 month, I pay in 3 months.
Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
That was something we were looking at.
Yeah.
That was something we were looking at when I was in office, and we were looking at this tiered plan, and we were working with the My Foundation and another group out of Chicago.
Yeah.
And bills were going to be based on income.
Yeah.
That kind of way. So you might have somebody that wasn't even paying. And I don't know what happened to that. It just sort of went away. Yeah. But it needs to be revisited.
Absolutely.
It needs to be revisited.
I would love to come, but I would love to. I love Flint.
I do
right?
too.
And I would love to be able to come back to the city.
We'll come work on it.
I look forward to it.
I'm coming to work on it. We'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Listen, I might even sign up to be on one of them boards to help do it.
Good.
Because we
need what?
Well, you got a question for Councilwoman
Okay,
Tanya
let's see.
Byrne. She said the insurance is high in the Flint,
It is.
the water.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's another thing. My car insurance would be through the roof.
But how can we fix the water though? Like far as the infrastructure on,
Well,
like
they
the
should have finished
pipes.
changing the pipes first.
But we ain't got the right leadership.
That's
You was in
one
there.
thing. I mean, you need to finish changing the pipes.
But you need leadership for that.
Oh,
You-
yes.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. And like I said, when you have in-home plumbing, your fixtures, your appliances, those should have been changed. Because everybody doesn't have new.
Absolutely.
A lot of people's, in-home infrastructure, I'll call it, was damaged.
Wow.
Think about it, if the cars were damaged, if the fire trucks were damaged, all of those things, the plumbing in your home was damaged.
Absolutely.
And so that's why that was something that I was fighting for. And I remember the state had promised that they were going to, give us that. First, they told us we're going to give you 4,000 new fixtures a year for 3 years.
Okay.
Okay, well, it's more than
Well,
12,000.
it's more- yeah.
But they didn't even do that.
Yeah.
They did the first year,
Oh, wow.
and that was it.
And that was it.
That was it.
And we're almost 9 years in.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
Leadership.
Yeah, right. And you have to have, because you have to have a leader that is demanding those things happen.
See, and that's another thing. I'm glad you said that because we can't stop. We have to take it. We have to demand it. We
Right.
can't keep asking for it.
Right.
I'm not begging anybody for anything.
Right.
Right?
And whether you're talking about the pipes, the plumbing kinds of issues, even around the settlement.
Yeah.
You don't say, "Oh, thank you for that little piggy bank payment."
I'm glad you
Governor.
said that because our friend Mr. A.C. Dumas,
Mm-hmm.
his question is, what about the water crisis lawsuit settlement? That's a loaded question.
Well, yeah, you know how I feel about that. I'm angry about that. I
Absolutely.
do. I think that was terrible. It was terrible. And for us to be told, "Oh, it's the biggest settlement in Michigan in this, in our history,"
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't make it fair.
Yeah.
Because it was the biggest.
Absolutely.
That doesn't make it an amount that just that reflects the value of our lives and the damage that's taken place here. So I don't care that it was the biggest. It wasn't big enough. It wasn't enough. And the hoops that you have to jump through just to get the money. A lot of people said, "I'm not doing that paperwork."
Mm-hmm.
And then you have attorneys that were supposed to represent you. But, well, okay, attorney, I'm not happy with this. And your attorney says, "Too bad. I'm happy with what I got."
Absolutely. 33
I mean,
and a third, I'll be happy too.
Exactly. So nothing about that settlement is fair. Nothing.
Can I
about
just?
it. What?
You know what? Let me say what I got to say about this.
Say it.
Water. Let me tell you what disheartened me the most about this water settlement
Okay.
is the people that ended up working with the attorneys that knocked on folks' doors to try to get them to take this bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's what hurt my feelings
Mhm.
because you are a citizen and a resident of Flint, supposedly, allegedly, and this is what you do in order to get people to do this, and then you working with them to give us the bare minimum, to give us nothing. We have been poisoned. These children have been poisoned, and let's be clear. We have history has shown, the facts have shown when in the 80s when the drugs came in.
Mm-hmm.
We see the results of those babies,
Mhm.
right? We see the results of those Zanny babies that came up when
Mhm.
all the pill popping was going on.
Mhm.
Now, what about this lead results? That's trickling over. That's been 9 years
And
ago.
you're
So their
seeing it now.
kids were like 8 and 9
Right.
then.
And you're seeing the results
Yes,
of it
they
now.
out here wilding.
Right.
And we don't have anything in place for them. So we have no medical anything in place for them. They should never have to see anybody about medical anything anymore, ever.
And they ought to be able to leave and medical follow them, insurance follow you.
Absolutely. They have no psychological anything to help them, right? Nothing.
And to me, it seems like that's why this was rushed on us. It was rushed on us.
Yeah.
Because you're not even going to see the full fallout from the water.
Absolutely.
From the poisoning of the water.
Absolutely.
Because some of that happens immediately, but some of it takes time
Yeah.
before you see, "Oh, wow, look at this group of kids, or look at this group of adults. Look at what's happened to them." And you can tie it back to the water.
Absolutely.
But now the settlement is what it is.
And those people that help those attorneys get that, are you guaranteed that their pockets lying too? You can look at some of the work they're doing and some of the buildings that they've acquired and all of these other things
Mhm.
that tell me you got a piece of that pie, a way bigger piece than the people that actually were in the plight of it. Right. And shame on you.
And you know what? It makes me think of the water crisis, because I knew with the crisis, economic opportunity was going to come. And I said, "There's no way we're going to go through a crisis and everybody else benefit economically, but the people that live here."
Absolutely.
And so that was one of the things that I was very focused on, was making sure that residents of the city of Flint
Mhm.
were able to benefit from those different job opportunities that were coming.
Yeah. So we have to, we also have to do ourselves a service in educating ourselves with those people that come to us, just on the fact that they are the people that think profit over morals.
Oh, right.
because
Because
that's
that's
what
how-
happened.
I was gonna
That's
say,
how
that's
all
how
of
this-
this happened.
Exactly. And
Profit
they
over
want to
morals.
tell us, oh, it was to save money. No, it wasn't. It was to make a few people rich.
Absolutely,
Or
it
no,
was.
let me say this: it was to make a few people richer,
Yeah,
more
Absolutely.
rich. Whichever
absolutely,
way you want to say it.
absolutely, absolutely.
And that's what it was.
And it's shameful, right?
Yeah, it's shameful. It's shameful, it's criminal, and it should have never happened.
Absolutely. So there was another question. I'm so sorry. I was going to ask you.
Was it AC? This which one? I'm looking at.
Oh,
that.
AC Dumas had another question. He said, sustainability of Flint, is it possible under your administration?
Yes. Yeah, it's possible. But that's what you have to work toward. That's what you have to want. Because you look at it, I mean, everything was taken from us. They had a plan in place
Oh, yes.
to change the form of government. They wanted to go to, what is it called? The word just left me. But right now, a metropolitan government. That's the word I was looking for. And so where we're all, one big happy family, but we lose the majority. Right now, Flint is majority African American. And you lose that majority when you go county-wide. We are no longer the majority.
Right.
And that makes it hard for you to get in certain places and to get at certain seats and tables. And so, even when I was, something as simple as yesterday, we were talking about the ARPA funds. I said, that's money that's there. We could be buying our own equipment again for the city of Flint.
Absolutely.
So we don't have to, get contracts from other places and privatize things.
Right.
We ought to be able to take care of ourselves. We're partnering with different entities. Even if you look at this, and what about this partnership with the sheriff? I said, I guess that helps downtown. It keeps an area of Flint safe. But is that sustainable? No, we ought to be hiring our own.
Absolutely.
We ought to be hiring our own, doing that community policing and looking at how we can be sustainable. That's why when you talked about housing, that's so important, because if we don't increase our tax base, we're not going to have the money to be able to sustain ourselves. And so when you put up things where you can't build housing, that makes it impossible to do that.
Yeah.
And that's why I said, that's not what's best for the city.
Do you think that a lot of these things are in place, and like the master plan and all those things, to make this a smart city?
We could be a smart city and still be a sustainable city with ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do that.
Because most smart cities aren't, but
Right.
yeah.
But we could do that.
Yeah.
I would love, that was, actually, when I was in office, that was something I was looking at, is how could Flint become a smart city? Because I wanted that. I thought that was very important, that we become one of those smart cities, because when you're talking about technology and everything is moving in that world of technology, and if we're not trying to go there, we're going to be left behind. So that's something that would help us become sustainable, is being a smart city.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's, I think that's very achievable.
Yeah.
It's very achievable.
Okay. Derek Smart said, question, will the mayor get the water fixed like she saw when she went to Ontario and toured their plant?
Oh man, that was he saw that, huh? That brought tears to my eyes when I went there, because that was what I wanted to have happen for Flint.
Yeah.
Because with everything we've been through, I mean, we should be who people turn to about water quality issues and how you do things, and the latest and greatest in the world of water.
Yeah.
I mean, we learned a lot in Flint.
Yeah.
And we learned so much that we should be teaching others. And
Absolutely.
others should be coming.
We should
to us.
definitely be the model.
And so Derek, that was one of the things that that we have been talking about, because we've learned, and I'll give you an example. So I always say New Development Center, but maybe it's, you know what I'm talking about? On King,
on King.
On the old bunch.
Yeah.
School.
Is it new development?
Is it New Development, Flint Development? But one of the things
I know
that
what
we
you're
have
talking
done
about.
there,
It's the old bunch, though.
right?
Yes.
And we have partnered with the Wildlife Federation, because we don't trust anybody in Flint, and rightfully so, on so many levels.
Right.
But we were training young people to be able to test the water, because we do trust each other. We should be able to trust each other. My child is learning how to test water, and he'll say, "Mom, guess what? This is how our oh wow."
Absolutely.
And the EPA came here they said, we want to, take this to other places around the country, which I agree with that, because others shouldn't have to go through what we went through. And if we can't share what we learned and help other communities that are similar to us, then shame on us as well. But how dare you come here? It was in the middle of the settlement. We're doing the objections. How dare you come to Flint and you're not part of the settlement? You haven't been part of making us as whole as we can possibly be made. So you want to come here and take lessons learned or best practices somewhere else.
But not here.
Right, but not help fix Flint and give us what we need.
Okay, so I just want to read this comment by AC Dumas real quick. He said, you can still vote by absentee voters ballot at Flint City Hall on the 3rd floor, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
That's right.
Also on this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I just wanted to throw that in there so y'all make sure you do that.
If you're not registered, you can register and vote at the same time.
At the same damn time.
Say it.
Y'all can y'all can vote, register and vote at the same damn time.
That's
so make sure you do it. And if you don't do it and you've already registered, then make sure you asking all your family and all your friends and everybody else are they registered to vote. And if not, put them in the car and take them to go do it.
Take them to go
do it. Let's vote. Let's get out here and listen. Show up and show out, and make sure that everybody else does it too. Just pick up a bunch of people and say, "Hey, let's go to vote together. Let's go eat some breakfast afterwards." Make it a day. That's what I did with my children the first time that they were voting, and we just made it a day. So continue to make that a tradition. Make it a tradition, but now make it a neighborhood tradition, and make sure that you go get your grandma or you take her to give her absentee vote. But if she likes going out to the polls, take her out there. Because listen, that's the day just to get out of the house. She wants to go for a ride and get some fresh air. Anything, just everybody. Let's make these numbers be the biggest ever. Just come out, get everybody out, get all these young people out. When you see them out, when you go to the store and you're at Kroger, you go to the gas station, the corner of the store, ask them, "Hey, young man, you registered to vote? Hey, young lady, you registered to vote?" Tell them something. Listen, y'all think they don't listen. They listen. Just do it. Get out there and do it.
Just do it. That's right.
So, what? Segue.
Okay.
I have a question as it relates to education.
Okay.
Flint schools, Flint public schools. Where does Dr. Weaver stand with that?
What do you mean?
Where
I'm a product of the Flint.
Absolutely, we just talked about it. Martin.
Northern.
Big Red.
I'm a Viking.
See, Big Red.
I'm a Northern Viking. But no, I love public education.
Absolutely.
And I think it should be the best that it can be, because if you're going to have a successful city, you have to have a successful school system. Because I'm not going to come live here if I don't have a school system that I think is going to give my children the education that they deserve to have.
Yeah.
And when we talk about, part of economic development and building your tax base, that's really important. But the school system has their own governing body. So there are some cities where it falls under the power of the mayor.
Yeah.
But Flint isn't one of those places.
Correct.
So they make their own decisions. But doesn't mean you can't be involved with what's going on in the schools. I remember when the state was leaving, and we were like, "They haven't tested the schools. How you don't leave and you haven't tested our schools?" Well, Mayor, you don't have any authority over that, but these are our Flint kids.
Yeah.
You all aren't leaving here until you test that water, and test it several times. So one of the things, though, I think we should be doing is working closely with the schools.
I agree.
Because what are the goals that they have? How can we support those kinds of things?
Yeah.
How can we make sure the area around that school is supported? I mean, there are things that the city and the school can be doing together and working together on. And we should be doing that, because our success depends on each other. It depends on each other. So, how do you have a successful school if the city's not doing what it needs to do? And so those things go together.
Yeah.
They go together. And so I believe there should be a very close relationship with the city and the schools as much as possible.
So with that being said, would you be in support of program in school, like even in the summer, where it's even if it's just like your top 3 to 5 students of each grade come and be mayor for the day?
Yeah.
City council person for the day. Hey,
Yes.
I'm throwing it out there. I don't care who does it. Somebody do it. Somebody do it.
That would be nice.
But
Those are, because you know
it'll get
what?
them excited
It'll
about
get them
government.
excited, and it teaches them about government.
Absolutely.
And so many people don't really understand how government works.
Absolutely not.
And that's a problem.
Even these folks that's running for these campaigns don't know how the government works. Hey, I'm gonna say it. It's just listen. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
But that's one of the problems.
Educated votes, people.
Right.
Make an educated
I
vote.
mean, when you talk about giving accurate information, and a lot of people don't have accurate information about
Absolutely.
how government works and what is the role of the council,
Right.
what is the role of the mayor.
Right.
You know, depending. I was talking to some people that they moved here, and they were like, "So how does this government work? I mean, is this a strong mayor form government?
Yeah.
Is it a weak mayor form
Yeah.
government? And what does council do? What's the difference in council and mayor? A lot of people don't know those things. What do they do in Lansing?
Yeah.
How does that work with schools? People will think, why don't you go and do this at the schools? I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
That's not our role. We don't
Absolutely.
have the power to be able to do that. And so I think what you're suggesting, that would be wonderful to do. We had started doing some of that actually.
Yeah.
And we were bringing young kids in
Yeah.
to spend time at City Hall. And
Yeah.
I remember we had scheduled some time to, just go through different things and doing different activities with them. But it was to get them comfortable coming. Because a lot of people aren't comfortable coming and understanding how things work. And so it was to get them comfortable coming and wanting to come and excited to come and learning about how does government work. And not only how does government work, you don't know that this isn't going to inspire a child to say, I want to be the mayor. I want to be a council person. I want to learn how to work in the water department. Planning and development, what is that? Ooh, I like that. So it exposes them to some career paths that they may never have even known about because, I came in as an adult now. I still learned about careers that I was like, wow, I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
Or thought to steer my children in that direction.
Because how cool would that be to have a 9-year-old little girl or boy sit in your big chair?
I did do that. I did.
But they continue to do it, right?
Right. It was
But
nice.
You don't know what kind of sparks that
Right.
goes off in their head.
Exactly.
Or be able to put on a judge role
and
sit
we
there
had
and hit the gavel,
chief
right?
of police, and we had the or the fire chief. I mean, kids love that.
Absolutely.
They love that, and you hear so many young people say, I wanted to be a policeman. I wanted to be, something in fire. I wanted to do this. Since I was a little kid, I got excited about it because they saw that. And I think we need to show them more. I think we have an obligation.
So you know
to
what
do
was
that.
what I always thought about when I was a kid? What I wonder what's sitting on their desk. Like what type of things that remind them of home, because you spend so much time away from home. I always used to think about that, like what's sitting on their desk. So I always wanted to go like I even thought about it. I remember when President Obama was in, I said, I wonder what's on his desk. I wonder what's on his desk. Those things that just spark your memory to let you keep on keeping on, right? What's on that
and
desk?
you do have different things.
Absolutely you do.
You do.
Because even at my little desk.
You spend so much time there.
Absolutely. I have some things that remind me of, just like every car that I have, my daughter made me this snowflake. It ain't the prettiest thing in the world, but she made it for me.
Right.
And it goes everywhere I go. Every time I get another car, it's been in there. It's been in there forever. And it's really not the prettiest thing, but she was a little girl. And it's just one of those things. Or I love turtles and frogs, and I have a little frog and I have a little turtle that sits there. Just some of those things that remind you and keep you grounded and keep you close to home. As a little girl, I used to always think like that. Like, what's on their desk? What do they have in there? Right? And so it's just little things like that spark your imagination and make you want to go and see or make you want to go do.
Right.
Or like, what does it feel like to hit that gavel? Right?
Right.
Or for everybody to stand up when you walk in a room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, woo! That's one of those things. He's like, I want that. I want to feel like that. And
or at least see what it feels like.
And it makes them
like,
strive
I don't ever want to do this again. Look, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
So
I
remember when we got the new fire truck with the aerial ladder.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, I said 2 jobs I'd never had.
Yeah.
Fire and police.
Listen, wholeheartedly agree.
So they're like, come on, you got to go up on this aerial ladder. Oh, yeah. Okay. I did. I said, "Oh, you
said
are
never
good." No, but it made me I always appreciated
Mhm.
those two jobs for
Yeah.
sure because I know I'm scared.
You know what the
But I
third
want
one is
some-
for me?
What?
A lifeguard. I'd be terrified of somebody drowning me, even though I can swim. But somebody scared of water will kill you.
They will take you down. You'll be drowning with them. But I
Yes.
did. I thought I can't imagine just going into a fire. Now I'm up 300 feet or
Yeah.
higher in the air.
Yeah.
You know it's windy. You're trying.
In
I
a
said,
burning
if you all
building.
don't get me down from this.
You said it wasn't a flame nowhere.
When it was a beautiful sunny day. Wasn't a flame.
Wasn't a
I
flame
said,
nowhere.
okay.
You said, yeah, no, this
Get me
ain't for me.
down. Get me down.
AC Dumas have another question I thought was a good question.
What?
He said, how will you rebuild the residents' trust in Flint government and the police department?
You know what? One thing is you have to do what you say you're going to do. Do what you say you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't do it, if you say you're going to do something and something happens, tell them why. You know, you have to have that kind of conversation. You told me you were going to give me $5.
Mhm.
I've been waiting.
Working for that $5.
I've been waiting. I mean, why can't you?
Yeah.
If you can't, I mean, be honest.
Yeah.
And tell me, you know, one of the things I always said was I was going to give you the information, whether it was good news or bad news,
Mhm.
because it was our news. And that's how we make decisions about what's going on and what's important to us. And so I think that's something that you have to do is, you know, because you have your word. You have your word. And so I think that's very important. It's very important.
Mm. So Winters Hall has a question, and she says, Dr. Weaver,
Uh-oh.
when you win,
Okay.
will
So far,
it
so
be-
good.
So far, so
Winters.
good. When you win,
Mhm.
will it be weird working with Whitmer, knowing she won off your coattails the last time? That's loaded.
That was an interesting
It's
question.
loaded.
You know what?
I'm telling you,
Let me
y'all
tell you
shot, y'all
something.
fire, y'all burning out.
I know. Okay. Winter's good grief. No, but you know what? Okay, I'll be
Yes.
serious.
Okay.
I worked with Snyder.
Mm. That's saying something.
I mean, it is. I had to get past my feelings.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to get what we deserved to have. And so it didn't matter if I was angry with him, I mean, there were times where it mattered, but my role was to do what was best for for the people that you know, for the people.
Right.
And so I had to do that.
Yeah.
I remember when I had to go after Obama wasn't in office. You know, that was very difficult.
Oh, I'm sure.
To go to the White House.
Oh, I'm sure.
But I was able to bring $30 million back for housing.
Absolutely.
Now, I did draw a line in the sand where I said, and that was how I got it. I remember saying, I am not coming back here. If you all don't have a check for Flint, Karen's not coming. I'm not coming for a photo op. I don't want a picture. I want a picture of me with a check.
Listen,
That's the picture I want.
And not-
like the publisher's clearing. I want
Yeah.
a picture of me with
absolutely.
and
Big check and a small one take right behind
and
it so I
that
can
was
take
what
it
I
to the
was
bank.
able to do.
Yeah.
And so that was, you know.
Yeah.
So I did. I said, I'm not coming. You know, I went first time, but I'm not coming back unless you have something for us. So the answer is you work with who is there. I mean, that's what you're elected to do.
Yeah.
That's what you're elected to do.
So let me say that's one of the things that I appreciate of you is so I appreciate the bulldog in you.
I was a Brownell bulldog too.
See,
Oh,
But you know,
I appreciate that because I'm that person. I'm not. What's in it for me?
Right.
What am I coming for?
right.
And I'm not doing anything at the plight of my people.
Mm-mm.
I don't have the profit over more
Mm-mm.
standpoint
No.
in my mind.
No.
And so what are you gonna do for look?
What are
What are
you
you
gonna
gonna do
do?
for us?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't do it, then don't call me again.
Don't call
Don't
me.
ring my phone. Don't do
Right.
that.
Exactly. And so
I got a job to do,
There
and I
was
got
some-
some things that I need. And if you can't
Right, and if
supply,
you
then
can't,
I'm moving
then I don't
on.
need to go.
I
Right.
appreciate that, and that's
Well,
the energy we gotta keep having.
We do.
We do.
And it's hard, I guess, for some people to be that way.
Yeah.
Because it's like, ooh, what a great experience that was. Well, that experience didn't do diddly squat
Not nothing.
for people here.
Absolutely not.
And so I don't need that experience.
Yeah.
So it was, I was just very focused on how do I get what we need to have. And then some.
Yeah.
And then some. And everything that we got, really, we should not have had to go through a crisis to get it.
Absolutely
There were things
not.
that any city, any successful, thriving city gets. And they haven't gone through a crisis to get it. But that's what happened. That was, the hand we were dealt. So I was going to play it to the best of my ability.
As you should have.
And that's just how I felt. What's in it for us? What's in it for us?
So I have a question as a kind of piggybacking off the question that AC Dumas has, and it's in relation to the Flint police. So everybody knows mental health is a big thing.
It's a
me.
big, yeah.
It is a huge thing for me. How do we bridge that gap? What do we do?
As far as
like even the police in mental health, because there are.
And don't leave fire out.
I was just getting ready to say the police in mental health,
right.
and then fire in mental health,
it's
or
a big
just
deal.
Or even now with everything that everybody went through, COVID, everybody, the healthcare field, absolutely.
And,
but even just the residents, because even the residents of Flint, we went through a lot. We are still going through water crisis. Then we had to deal with 2 years of freaking COVID on top of that.
On top of
Come on.
Exactly. It's a lot. And it wears on you.
Oh my goodness gracious.
And I remember that was the reason that, we were going through a public health crisis, but a public health crisis includes your mental health.
Absolutely.
And so that was why I hired Pamela. She was the first ever chief public health advisor for the city. That's why we had recovery and Jamaica Patrick as the recovery officer.
Yeah.
Because mental health was a big deal. That's why we were doing that recast grant, because it was dealing with mental health.
Yeah.
But I love mental health because I'm a psychologist.
Absolutely.
And so that's very, very important. And so we had put those kinds of things in place. And it's also important. In fact, we were practicing mindfulness. We had become a mindful city. And so we were doing things and throughout City Hall, and we were working with businesses to take it even further because we'd all been through some stuff.
Yeah.
Without having gone through a water crisis, we've been through some stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really, really important, but it's especially important for certain jobs, who deal with a high level of stress every single day when you don't know if you're going to come home or not.
Yeah.
That's some stress. That's something. Every day you go to your job, that could be your last day. I
have a question about that, but I'm gonna ask you off camera, because if it's something that you might want to put in place, I don't want to give it to nobody else. It just came to me, so I'm gonna put a pin in that.
It's important that they have those kinds of services, those kinds of supports.
Absolutely.
Because it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It is.
And I remember being at the fire station one day, and the way everything was lined up with their, whatever what they put on their fire stuff,
all
their
their
gear, and it had their name, and it was like, man, that just made me stop to look at that, because they were ready for whatever was getting ready to happen. And you look at it and you're like, wow, I want each one of them to come back.
To come back the way they went out. Yeah. And that's important. That's absolutely important.
Yeah.
It is.
It's very important.
So with that being said, I know that's a big thing for me, because my father was in the military. My father was a Marine, and so he was he was in Vietnam, and so he went through a lot, right? Because they were kids.
Yeah. They sure were.
They were children.
They were kids.
Yeah, they were children wanting them to do that, and they didn't have all of the resources so they were called baby killers. They were being spat on and all those things like that, and so we don't even think about
when they come back.
But we don't think about that.
Trigger them.
But we don't think about that for firefighters.
Right.
After they've gone and they have had to go. I couldn't imagine.
We don't know what they've seen. What they've had to deal with.
And it's amazing to me how much that's not talked about, and how like suicide rates with them, and that, because I've gone through that. My uncle committed suicide, and so my father's brother, and so that is just one of those things. You just, when it happens like that, you think about it more often, and then you're worried about people more often. So you see little things and you hear little things, and it makes you want to reach out and make sure that you're not the person that ignored it.
Right.
Because I never want to be the person that ignored it.
Exactly. I was talking to somebody. I
so
said,
scary.
I think Jamaica and I were talking, because me as a social worker. I said, when you lose someone to suicide, I always felt like, how did we failed this person some kind of way.
Yeah.
And because there are signs. And when we don't talk about these things, you don't know what some of those signs are.
Yeah.
You find out when it's too late.
Absolutely.
And those are services that should be talked about, that should be provided.
Absolutely.
So I completely agree.
Well,
What?
Dr. Weaver,
What?
I got the. So I'm
Time is
assuming.
up.
I'm
Ooh,
assuming
we
it
talk-
is. I just
you
got
can-
told that our time was up.
She said, I just
I
got
got told. So I didn't want to. I was like,
look, I didn't think you could get told.
to a certain extent. You have a job to do, ma'am. So I ain't gonna hold you from your job. I know you got other engagements,
Okay,
so
but
you
we gotta
pencil
come.
me
Okay,
in.
so we gotta come back again because I enjoy you so much.
I love talking
I
to you.
do too.
And but I'm telling you what I
What?
love even more. I love even more that we get to deep dive into some things and even segue into some things that we ain't
Except
even
next
think
time we're
talk
gonna
about.
switch it. I'm gonna interview her.
Okay, come on, let's do it.
That's what we're gonna do next time.
You
'Cause
tell me when.
I'm listening to you and I'm like, well, I have a question.
Yes.
And sometimes people don't get to do that.
You're absolutely right. And you
Wouldn't that be
sometimes they do.
fun?
When I do it by myself, they'll ask me a few questions, but it's usually as it relates to something that I'm talking about. But no, that would be fun. I would love that.
I would too.
Let's skip that. Let's
Let's
do
do
it.
it.
Okay, so with that being said,
Mhm.
what are your parting words to all of these beautiful
You know
people
what?
that are
I'm
watching
gonna go
us
back
today?
to what you said earlier.
Okay,
How
go
about
for
that?
it. Okay, go.
August 2nd.
August
It's
2nd.
election day.
It's election
I'm
day.
asking for your support. I'm asking for your vote. I'm asking for a second opportunity to go back and be the voice of the people of the city of Flint and represent you. So that's it. Go vote. It's important. Your vote, I always say that, is your voice.
Absolutely,
it's your
it
voice,
is.
and you need to be heard.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people don't want to hear us. They don't want to hear what we have to say.
Absolutely.
They don't want to hear what we think, how we feel.
Mhm.
And so when you don't do that, you give them, oh, I don't have to listen to them.
Yeah.
I don't have to listen to them. We're making decisions for you, about you, for your children, yourself, your parents, your grandparents. So it's important that you have an educated voice.
An
vote, as you say.
educated voice. Yes.
And that's what I appreciate about you,
Yeah.
because you keep it real, you keep it factual. Oh, Mickey looking at his watch.
No, I wasn't doing it because of that. I
Oh,
wasn't.
because
I
I'm
was
like,
looking-
damn, you rushed
No,
this?
no,
Yeah.
no,
Oh, okay.
no,
Goodness
no,
gracious.
no.
You already got told.
No.
Now
Listen,
he's like,
I'm like, all
No,
right. Yeah.
no, I got
Okay.
a text.
go vote.
For your peace of mind, everybody, make an educated vote, right? An educated
That's
vote.
right.
For your peace of mind, we're talking about mindfulness. We're talking about having a peace of mind and all of that. You want your mind to feel free and a little bit better. Do something different. Don't keep doing the same thing
Right.
that you've done over and over again to make you go crazy. Do something different. And with that being said, all of those different things that we had some years ago, if you thought that was a great idea and you want that work to be continued, then Dr. Weaver is it. So August 2nd, that's Tuesday. All damn day. Get up. All damn day. Get up and go vote.
Yeah.
Seriously, go
Yeah.
vote. Encourage everybody that you know to go vote. Make sure that you are getting registered to vote. Start today, asking everyone today. As soon as you get off this podcast, everybody
Right.
go and ask a whole bunch of people. Get a group text going on and ask them all, have they registered to vote? Tell them to go vote August 2nd. I don't care how many times you send it. Even if you send it to me, I'll answer it. And I don't always answer group text, but that one I'll
You'll
answer.
answer that.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I will, because
That's
it's
important.
important. It's very
important.
much important. And this is an important campaign, guys.
It
So
is.
not only do we have an opportunity to vote for Dr. Weaver or whomever else you feel like,
Mhm.
we also have the 70th district state rep race that's going on, and there's some people that are going for there. Then we also have the state senate. Then we also have the governor. Listen, it's important. And then coming in November, we got something bigger coming on in too. So just remember, this is your year. This is your year to get out and do it and make a change for the better and make the change that you want to see. Make an educated vote on all of these things. Now, we've talked about almost everybody that are running in these races. So make sure you are doing yourself a favor and make an educated decision. So do the research. Do the good research. Don't listen to the propaganda.
Right.
Do the research. And like she said, I'm out in these streets. Go talk to her. She'll talk to you and
Sure
everybody
will.
else. I love you. Thank you all for joining us. Y'all know what I'm going to say. Make sure you love on yourself, because if you can't love on you, you can't love on nobody else. And what's better than you? Absolutely nothing. So take care of you, and we'll see you next time. Tomorrow, 6 o'clock.
Tomorrow.
I am.